toxic people. My name is Carmen McKnight, for those of you who do not know me, and I'm going to talk about toxic people, toxic relationships from my point of view. This is just life experience, advice, and nothing else. So, I think at one point I was a toxic person, and the toxicity came from other toxic people, meaning I pretty much, like a mirror, reflected what I was taught. I saw toxicity, thus I acted the same way, because that's all I knew. I also knew that something was wrong, and I did a lot of research, read a lot of books, a lot of self-examination, and a huge desire to change. So gradually, I did. I'm shaking my head no, but I meant to say not quickly. I was able to do it, and my biggest help, I would say, besides God, because I do believe in God, was my husband, Chet. Now, through the course of my years, I've had few relationships that were toxic. To me, it just so happened to be all supposedly girlfriends. But then you realize you're the only one doing the giving, and they're the only one doing the taking. And when you're depleted and you have nothing else to give, you have to walk away so you yourself don't disintegrate into nothingness and disappear off the planet of the earth, or end up a big bowl of bitterness and anger that just can't enjoy her life. So, if you walk in a room, or if a particular individual walks into your presence and suddenly you find yourself breathing like you hold your breath, or you tensen up, or the stupid jokes you did before, you no longer say it because you know you're going to be criticized, put down, made fun of, psychoanalyzed, insulted. And if all of a sudden your personality adjusts and you do not feel free to be yourself around this person, but suddenly you walk on eggshells and you feel like you want to ruffle the least amount of feathers so you don't end up with somebody yelling at you or screaming at you or being mean to you, putting you down and all that, you're dealing with a toxic person. Most likely narcissistic, they kind of go hand in hand. So when they're general friends or acquaintances, it's easy to walk away. If they're more to you than that, especially spouses, not my case. Don't think that that's what I'm talking about. Not my case. Thank you, God. It's harder to walk away because there's an emotional attachment. Usually, these kind of toxic people use a lot of manipulation to keep you around, to also keep you around so they can just beat on you because it makes them feel better. They're so miserable. Their foundation of life is so miserable, and they live in such a misery that they feel like they just need to share. So they overshare all the time. Whether you ask for it or not, they just share that misery. And they totally suck the life out of you, the joy out of you, the creativity out of you, the peace and easiness out of you. So, if you're more attached as so I have a friend who is extremely, well, I could say I had a friend, because I'm not sure how much we're gonna see of each other, but I still very much love her. But I realized, I had to ask myself, in the past 5 years, how many times have we gotten together without me having to witness, hear, listen to some kind of angry, bitter argument about something, some kind of complaint, some kind of, and lately it's been really bad because it's been a lot of just a lot of shouting, a lot of anger. I understand she's in a tremendous amount of pain, and that part is very real, and I have tried to help her by giving advice of the best that I had. Maybe it was not good enough, but that was the best advice that I had. And it's one of those things that it's hard to let go, but I have seen the signs for a while, and I have seen the manipulation. It's not just the signs. We all go through pain, but if we start manipulating others because of our own pain to try to extract something else from others, and that just escalates to a point where it becomes an irrational, not just relationship, but conversations. And when you start seeing them doing things that are wrong, and you try to help them by giving good advice, but they don't see it that way, and they reject it, or turn around and point it right back at you, putting you into a defensive point of life, then that's manipulation. It's shifting the focus out of them, for they know they're doing something wrong, and onto you, so you don't have to bother them with further inquiries. It's tough. I'm sure you've had to deal with it. It's not easy for me per se, maybe for you. I don't know you, I don't know your circumstances, but for me in this particular case, and I've had other relationships that were toxic before, and I was able to say goodbye to them just fine. And yeah, and once my trust was broken, I'm like, yeah, no. And funny thing is, those toxic past relationship, they never once bothered to put any kind of effort into regaining that trust or that relationship, that it was so important and we were so close at the time, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're such great friends and all that. After I said, no, that's enough, sayonara, they never bothered to come and try to work back that trust. If that relationship was that important, they would have. When they don't bother to come back, yeah, that should tell you something. This last one, it's just the recent issue. It's a hard one for me because I truly still care for this person. But to the fact that I personally, for the ones that don't know, I am recovering from an autoimmune disease that almost took my life. And to be on that road and to stay on that road, to stay healthy, it requires for me to make certain choices of living healthy, not just by what I eat and put in my mouth, but it's what I think, what I surround, who I surround myself with, what I listen to, what I read, what type of conversations, what type of friendships I have. And I thank God that I have, probably she's my best friend right now, without a doubt. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is such a good, grounded lady that I thank God to have that, besides Chad, my husband, to have such a great friend to be able to go and communicate things with, and see a level of healthy way of looking at life. I have more than one friend. I'm not just saying that, I have a bunch of friends, but I just named these two because they're quite precious to me. But I'm trying, it's already 11 minutes, I'm trying not to bore you, but the ones for you going through trying to get out of toxicity is this latest friend broke my trust big time. I suspected things, I saw signs up to this point, but I always told myself that she's worth the fight. She still is worth the fight. I will continue to pray for her, no doubt about it. But that does not mean I'm gonna allow that type of toxicity to come and affect not just me, but it started affecting my children. And of course, if I am sad, then my husband is hurt. He doesn't want to see his wife sad, so on and so forth. So when you get hurt, you're not the only one paying. There's others, in the family. I don't allow that to happen any longer. In the past, I would have probably wallowed in pity for a while, whatever that while was, depends on my emotional matureness, but I don't allow that anymore. It's like, well, this is sad, but I have to move on with a healthy look in life. And I truly hope and pray, because the advices I given her in the past were brushed aside, that there will be a day that this relationship could be restored, but for that to happen, a lot of work would require to be put in from her as much as probably from me as well. And a set of rules and boundaries will have to be addressed, put in, and that's about that. So I have to, the battery says it's, sorry, I'm not pointing at your nose, but my battery is low. So if that helped you anyhow, this is my personal experience of dealing with toxic relationships and the pain behind it, and yet the hope of restoration when people matter, and some do, but some don't. And I have had the ones that no amount of work that they would put in, it would matter for me to continue. They have made their choice. I have given over and over and over chances, but they still made their choice. I just pray that I'm not a toxic person to somebody else, and I hope I recognize those signs and whip it out right away, so I can be a really good friend to my friends and to the people I love around. Have a great day. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them, to ask questions, and we'll talk later. Bye bye.